Hello. In this video, I'll explain the grammar point passive. So in this video, I'll talk about the passive voice, tell you what it means, how to use it, and when to use it. So again, in this video, I'll explain first what is passive, and then we'll talk about the form of the passive, and then I'll explain when to use it. So what is passive? Well, it's first important to understand subject, verb, and object. So in Japanese, shugo, doshi, mokutekigo. And these things are very important in the passive. So let's look at an example. So in this picture, what is the subject, verb, and object of the sentence? A dog ate my pizza. So we have the subject, shugo, a dog, verb, ate, which is the simple past of eat, doshi, and the object, mokutekigo, my pizza. So again, usually the subject, dare wa, dare ga, the object, mokutekigo, nani yo, nani ni. And so what is the passive, you might ask? In the passive, the object is more important than the subject. And also important in the passive is this idea of the agent. The agent is the one who actually does the action. And usually that's the subject of the sentence. But in a passive sentence, the agent, in other words, the person or thing that does the action, is not important. So let's take again this sentence example. A dog ate my pizza. What's the agent? In other words, who ate my pizza? So the agent of this sentence is the one that ate. So of course the agent is a dog. A dog ate my pizza. And so this is called the active voice, an active sentence, where the subject is the agent. And most English sentences are like this: a subject, verb, object. And usually the subject is the agent. Let's look at this sentence. My pizza was eaten. It's very sad. No more pizza. So the subject in this sentence is my pizza, and the verb was eaten. What's the agent in this sentence? So again, the agent means who did the action. So the action is still eat. So who ate my pizza? We don't know. This sentence does not show the agent. It does not tell us who ate my pizza. And so this is a passive sentence. A passive sentence is one in which the subject is not the agent. Okay, and so in a passive sentence, the subject and object sort of change places. So let's look at a couple examples. So an active sentence again, Carol sold the house. So Carol's a person, Carol is the subject. She is the agent. She sold the house. So the house again is the object, mokutekigo. But if we switch this to passive, the house was sold by Carol. So now we have a strange situation. The subject becomes the object becomes the subject. So again, the object of an active sentence becomes the subject of a passive sentence. And the subject of an active sentence becomes the object of the preposition by in a passive sentence. Confused yet? So let's look at the form of the passive. So the form of the passive is subject plus be verb, so is, are, was, were, or am, and past participle. And you can also include the agent in a by phrase, but this is optional. You don't need this in a passive sentence. So let's look at some examples. My pizza was eaten. So we have the subject, my pizza, and the verb is eat, and so this is simple past. So we need past form of be verb. Subject, my pizza was, plus past participle of the verb eat, eat, ate, eaten. My pizza was eaten. My pizza was eaten by a dog. This is also okay. So this time it shows the agent in a by phrase, but you don't need this. All right, so up here we can see many different verb tenses and how they work in active and passive. So we have simple present, simple or present progressive, present perfect, simple past, past progressive, past future, simple future, be going to plus future perfect. Whew. So I invite you to pause this video and take a look at this in detail. So I won't talk about all of these, but be careful because there is a difference between singular and plural. For example, Mary is helping the boy, but they, for example, are helping the boy. So be careful about this with is, are, was, were, have, and had when you're making these sentences. Okay, when to use the passive. So there's basically 3 situations to use the passive. Number 1, the object is important. The object is the focus of your sentence, and you want that to be the most important part. Or if the agent is unknown or not important. And the third situation is if you want to hide the agent. So let's look at some examples. So when the object is important. So let's look at this sentence. People all over the world admire movie stars. So this is an active sentence. So which is more important in this sentence? People all over the world or movie stars? Yeah, what's important? Movie stars are the focus of this sentence. So we can say movie stars are admired by people all over the world. So again we have subject, be verb, past participle, and then by phrase to show the agent. And again notice that the subject and the object sort of switch places. Okay, another situation when the agent is unknown or the agent is not important. Let's look at another example. So if in this sentence, my house was built in 2001. Is the agent important in this case? Like for example, if we were to make this an active sentence, something like, some workers built my house in 2001. So the agent of this sentence, some workers, is that really important information? No, not really. And so we don't want to include this information in the sentence because the focus is on my house. The agent is not so important. So this passive sentence is better in this example. My house was built in 2001 because the agent is unknown or unimportant. Okay, and the last situation is if we want to hide the agent. For example, if we want to avoid blaming someone. For example, if somebody did something wrong or made a mistake, especially at work, it's common to use the passive to avoid blaming somebody because we can hide the agent. So let's look at an example. So this sentence, Rob made many mistakes in this report. So Rob is not happy if you say this. Rob feels very bad. So we can change this so the sentence is a little bit more gentle. So many mistakes were made in this report. Notice the agent is no longer in this sentence. Now we don't exactly know who made the mistakes. So now this sentence, Rob feels much better now. So again, the subject becomes the object becomes the subject. And we don't have to include the agent in a passive sentence. So we can use this to avoid blame. Okay, something else important to note about the passive. So passive is for transitive verbs only. Tadosh. So intransitive verbs, jidoshi, cannot be made into the passive. I just used a passive there. So these are some examples of some common intransitive verbs. Jidoshi. So in English, go, die, happen, live. And there's many more, but these are common examples of intransitive verbs. So for example, if I want to say something like, my grandfather died in 2018. Some students try to make a sentence like, in 2018 my grandfather was died. So this is not correct because die, this verb can never have an object. Mokuteki go ga nai. So you can't make the passive because you can't make an object into a subject if there's no object. So be careful with these types of sentences. You can't make the passive from an intransitive verb. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you understand how to use the passive in English. So like always, if you have any questions or problems, please send me an email.